Hindi na sila.
Oo. Ayan na, live na tayo. Alright. Welcome back everyone to Quadcom -1. Pero parating na yung -1 natin na ating star of the year. Alam mo,
Very controversial.
someone is making rounds pag si Sir Ronald ang nagbubuli. Pansin nyo, every time na si Ronald Llamas ang guest, parang may patama siya kay Falsi. Sabi ko, nako, competition na to.
Hindi na nga ikaw tinatamaan, Richard, si Francis na yun eh.
So, ibig sabihin, Falsis is on a roll. Falsis is on a roll. So, that's the good news. Oh my goodness, ang dami natin pag-usapan habang inintay pa natin si Attorney Falsis. Chris Mark, wow, pati Marojas, pwede natin pag-usapan ngayon. Mukhang anything goes na. Chris, the other week dun sa bahay mo, we had this fantastic episode kung saan pinag-usapan natin. Ito na, money trail niya. Ito na, moment of truth. But let's be honest, parang mas bardagulan pa nangyari. You wanna give us a sense of your sense of things at saka ano yung mga analysis mo at saka expectations natin going forward before we go to Mark?
Well, there's so many things that happened. Which Bardagulan are you referring to? The one
Yeah,
in
let's
the
go to
Committee on Justice?
Madriaga and the money trail and then to Sentry. Yeah. Ikaw
Okay,
bahala,
so
you're the man.
yeah, well, okay. So let's just start with the two Committee of Justice hearings that just happened, ano? And they're explosive. So start with the Madriaga one, and then ang importante dito kay Madriaga is he signed his bank waiver. Remember, he said that he was being used as a dummy account for all the Duterte money going into his account and leaving that account. And it's a dummy account, but because he's the signatory, kaya niyang ipabukas yan. Pangalan niya yan eh. Now that you see the AMLAC come in with Sunny Trillanes, and then nabangga nila yung transactions na lumalabas, there was 181 million pesos that went into the pockets of the Duterte family. Okay, in a span of 2 years. Yun ang pinakita pa lang niya, 2011 up to 2013. Now, nung binangga nila yung randomly 18 of those transactions, lumalabas that AMLAC confirmed that they're all true and correct. So, yung ano dito, yung interesting na mangyayari ngayon dito, remember, there was over 600 transactions that AMLAC flagged for either covered transactions or suspicious transactions. And again, covered transactions just means na over 500,000. Majority of these transactions are considered covered, not suspicious. But what's interesting is, pag lumabas sa itong bank accounts ni Madriaga, yung dummy accounts, baka may makita tayong pumupuntang pera sa account ni Madriaga at lumalabas, o kaya pumupunta sa account ni Madriaga tapos pumupunta kay Sara Duterte o kaya kay Mans Carpio. Doon na lalabas lahat. Makikita natin yung connection na itong lahat. It's gonna be very damning and hard to really defend this, which is why ang mga abogado ni Sara Duterte, sina Michael Poa, ay hindi pumupunta sa Committee on Justice. Imbis na lang, instead, they just go na lang and have a press con. Kasi I think alam naman natin lahat na ang labanan natin dito ay ang taong bayan. At kung sino makakuha ng support ng taong bayan, yun ang panalo. Regardless of what happens in the Senate. At the end of the day, right now, alam nating lahat na ang labanan ay para sa utak nating lahat. Para sa tiwala natin, sa suporta natin. At kaya ang tapang ni Michael Poa na humarap sa press con at i-explain with a non-explanation kung bakit daw may mga transactions si Sara Duterte. And the trolls are also doing the mental gymnastics of saying it doesn't really mean that she held the money kasi it's money in, money out. But yes, to a certain extent, that's true. But remember this, that sa pumasok na pera, that's a total of about 4.4 billion pesos. Out of 4.4 billion pesos, outflow was only 1.5 billion. So, ibig sabihin nun, 2.9 billion ay naiwan sa accounts niya. That's the first one. The second one, yung nag-outflow, are because of investments. Life insurance, time deposits, possibly buying property. There's so many ways to launder 1.5 billion. This is effectively money laundering. Okay? At its finest. This is the best money laundering that they're doing right now. Hindi kaya ng bangko. All they can do is flag it because they're required to. Otherwise, they're gonna lose their license. But they flag it, but they still accept it and make it seem like it's legitimate. So, andyan na tayo ngayon. We are now at the exciting part. Ayun na yun eh. just to give you guys an idea of how big 6.77 billion is. That's in and out, total. That's for 633 flag transactions. That's 10 million per transaction, roughly. Look at it this way: per year, in a span of 19 years, that's just under 10 million pesos. Oh no, sorry, 350, roughly about 350 million pesos per year. That's a ridiculous amount. Or kaya you could break it down per week. Per week, this is about 4.4 million pesos a week going in and out of Sara Duterte's accounts. It's insane.
So you don't buy yung I don't know, the Duterte School of Constitutional Law na sinabi nung abogado niya na dumaan-daan lang naman, di naman nananatili eh. So okay
Yeah.
lang. Parang kaya
Richard,
bilang daw eh.
yeah, kahit sabihin mo dumaan lang, the fact that there are an average of 10 million pesos per transaction going in and out of Sara Duterte's account and Man Scarpio is way beyond whatever business they have or salary they make, and kahit ano man yon. And remember this, that Sammy Uy gave 181 million in a span of 2 years to the Duterte family. Baste, Digong, Pulong, and Hanilet, with Kitty and Sara Duterte. That alone is suspicious. Because think about it. Anong klaseng negosyo ang nakapagbibigay ng 181 million in a span of 2 years? Okay, that they were giving money every quarter, every 6 months, parang ganon. It's a ridiculous amount na kahit ano pa I mean, you must have a really big
Bribery
business.
din yun.
Oh, yun, exactly.
Form
And,
of
to
bribery.
begin with, sabihin natin negosyo na, they're not supposed to have business in Davao with, with any business dahil they're the mayor of Davao. Yun. So yun yung yan ang
Conflict of
problema talaga
interest.
na
Oh, may
sa nangyari.
Ikaw, Mark, na-surprise ka ba, Mark, dun sa lawak ng expose, yung detalya na lumalabas? At saka, to be honest, medyo sablay yung defense nila Sara na dinadaan na lang sa press con, pero parang batian, medyo hindi umobra eh.
Oo, grabe yung laki nung inflow at outflow nung sa mga bank accounts ni Sarah at ni Mans. Nakakatawa nga, overnight biglang dami yung mga CPA sa online. Napansin mo yun? Sabihin ka, baka di mo alam kung ano yung inflow, outflow.
Yan
Ganun.
ang maganda sa
4
atin, eh, maraming
billion yung
crash course.
inflow, deposit. Saan ang galing yung 4 billion? Naggagawa pa sila ng example na kunyari, meron kang 5,000, ihulog mo sa bangko, i-withdraw mo, ganyan, 10,000 yung withdrawal mo, pero zero yung laman ng... Ang layo ng 10,000 sa 1 billion. Paano aabot ng 1 billion yon? Yung iba, ang daming mental gymnastics para to try to save face. Sabihin nila, hindi, negosyo yan. O sabihin natin negosyo yan. Bakit walang rehistro sa SEC, sa BIR, kung kumikita ng ganong kalaki, yung kung ano mang negosyo yan na legal. So, ang hirap lusutan talaga eh. And they are really, really trying hard. And they are trying na guluhin dahil yung inflow outflow na word, they are trying na guluhin yung pag-uusap tungkol dito. Pero sa akin in terms of yung case, yung itataas nila sa Senate, I think more or less doon pa lang medyo tapos na yung boxing eh. This is just a matter of yung sa tama si Chris, public perception na lang. Sa tao na lang maintindihan nila kung bakit mahalaga ito. And tama, wala pang detalye na lumalabas. Ano pa lang yan, total pa lang yan. Summary pa lang yan nung mapasok. Wala pa yung mga transaction na below 500,000 na maaaring labas-pasok dyan sa kanilang mga account. So, ibig sabihin, mas malaki pa yung amount. Kaya, sa akin, ito sinasabi ko minsan kung gusto mo pa rin sa Duterte, choice mo yan, pero hindi mo na masasabi na hindi bilyonaryo yung mga Duterte. Kasi, yung pera, amount of money going in and out si Sara pa lang yan. Hindi pa yan yung tatay na talagang mayor na nasa taas, di ba? Sara pa lang yan. Ano pa kaya yung mayor? Vice mayor pa lang siya nung time na yon. So, hindi na nila makakaila yung yaman ng mga Duterte na
Nakita mo yung
it
meme na yan,
destroys
yung
the myth eh.
Yung
Oo,
naka-Colombo
yung
tapos
kulambo.
biglang paggising niya.
Oo, hindi, I think titigil na yan. I think they are done with that gimmick. 'Di ba? Yung kakain sa karinderya, sasabihin, "Wow, simple." Sasabihin ng tao, "Simpleng bilyonarya." Ganun yung ganun yung ganun yung lalabas. So I think yun yung maano doon, masisira na yung myth na simpleng tao, walang pera pag airplane papuntang Maynila mula Davao. So, bilyonaryo eh. They have businesses, they have malalaking properties. Paano pa kaya yung ano na allegedly yung kay Kibuloy,
O
hindi
yun
pa
pa,
Yep.
natatakel
nawala
yun.
si Kibuloy. O nga, no? Yeah.
Oo, 'di ba? Yung properties, yung kung ano mang hawak doon ni Kibuloy na ano, hindi pa ibang usapan pa yon kung
Mhm.
nagagamit din yon to launder money o to hide yung pera. Ito pa lang yung bank account. Sa bank accounts pa lang to. Na hindi nila naisip nung panahon na yon, di ba? Sinasabi ko nga, ito naman nangyayari din sa ibang mga dynasty sa mga ibang probinsya, di ba? Sa ibang syudad. I believe naman na hindi lang sa Davao nangyayari to. May mga ibang mga matatagal na diyan sa pwesto, 3 decades, 4 decades. Maaring ganyan din yung pera nila. Ang pinagkaiba lang, ito pinasok sa bangko. Kitang-kita may paper trail. Di ba?
Mhm.
Kitang-kita yung ano na hindi mapaliwanag kung saan galing yung pera na yon, saan nila nakakuha yung pera na yon.
Tsaka
And
yung zero,
napakadaling
bakit
i-dispute
zero?
eh.
Bakit zero na naman? Tapos naging Mickey Mango na naman na biglang zero na yung account niya. Hindi pa
O
parang,
yun nga, yun pa. Yung kaya daw cash on hand zero, nasa others yung cash on hand. 'Di ba? Lahat ng CPA nagsilabasan na kung sino man ang gumawa niya na auditor dapat tanggalin yun na kasi that is unacceptable pagdating sa kanilang profession na yung cash on hand yan talaga yung kailangang item na nakikita eh. Tapos hindi nila nilagay daw sa others, yun yung kanilang palusot. So there's level of arrogance and impunity eh. Para hindi mo man lang ayusin. Kumbaga, if you're going to commit allegedly corruption, hindi mo pa ayusin, di ba? You think na never kang mahuhuli, never i-check yung mga bangko mo. So there's a certain level of ano nga, parang pagiging arrogante at impunity na akala nila hindi darating yung araw na ma-check yung kanilang mga accounts.
yun nga, I wanna go back to that, Chris, no? Yung nakita na natin sa Miggy Mango pa lang, gano'n ka, parang amateur hour pa yung pagka-trapo nila, no? I mean, if they're
Mhm.
gonna be trapo, probably wanna do it properly. But these people, yung hubris nila, yung reckless impunity nila, hindi ba shocking yan, Chris? Even by our trapo standards, next level talaga mga Duterte, no?
Pero alam mo, no, I mean, we expect nothing less eh. Kasi pag nakita mo naman paano kumilos yung mga Duterte, they don't really bother with yung mga details. Hindi sila, parang, tignan mo paano nga kumilos yung tatay pala nga niya, di ba? Naalala mo yung ginawa nila yung drug matrix, yung nakasama pa si Jollibee, si McDonald's, yung mga
Gretchen Ho,
nakasama
si
si
Ronald
Hidlin.
Llamas.
Oo, di ba? Yung ganun kahina sila. Hindi sa, sorry, excuse me, hindi sa mahina eh. They just don't care to cover their tracks. Remember, Sara Duterte takes after her father eh. Yung tatay nga niya, inaamin na pumapatay siya ng tao. Inaamin niya na may pera siyang 200 million during the Quadcom hearings. Diba? Sabi niya may 200 million ako pero ginastos ko na yan. Maliit lang naman, ganun. Kahit na alam niya yung pag-aamin niya can actually get him in trouble because that's how what he declared in his talent. Pero ganun sila ka-entitled, ganun sila ah, kumilos na tingin talaga nila above the law sila. Yun lang yun. And, pag makita mo yung mga tao that work for them, it's the same eh. The people that work for them are not, I don't need to say this para mang insulto ah. Pero again, pag napanood mo yung Quadcom, napanood mo yung kanyang special dispersing officer, tinatanong, hindi po, pasensya na po, parang alipin lang niya yung kausap eh, di ba? Yung hindi makapag-desisyon, sabi, ba't binigay mo yung pera doon sa security detail ni Sarah? Sinabi po ni ma'am eh, parang ganon. You're the special disbursing officer. Tapos bibigay mo lang 125 million sa kanyang security sa security ni Sara Duterte. Pambihira naman, di ba? Dahil takot lahat kayo kay Sara Duterte. Yun ang problem.
So where do we see this going, Mark? I mean, online, well, sa tingin mo yung the sentiment is shifting. We'll talk about the surveys shortly kasi papunta na tayo kay Senator Trillanes, mahabang usapan yan. Pero sa tingin mo, Mark, they're losing ano na, yung grip nila sa narrative. Kasi for the past 10 years, basically, it's a Duterte universe. All of us are just responding to it, no?
They are losing yung a certain segment ng narrative, which is yung simple, hindi mayaman. So ngayon, they are, lahat naman kurakot lahat naman bilyonaryo. At least ito, tough on crime, at least. So medyo shift ng ganun. So in that sense, medyo successful. Kasi dati talagang ano nila And syempre may mga tao din na medyo naaano din na akala ko ba mahirap, akala ko ba simple lang yan yung pala wala silang pinagkaiba dun sa ibang mga trapo sa ibang lugar, di ba? So I think in that sense tinamaan talaga more than kasi yung kay Madriaga, yung kay Trillanes, they can easily say na hindi ano yan pakawala yan ng kabila o scripted yan. They could try to dispute yung mga sinasabi ng mga witnesses. Pero itong actual na bangko, hindi hindi mo you could only show your bank account din para patunayang ano. Napakadaling gawin di ba? Isang taon kuha siya. O tingnan mo, sabi niyo sa 2013, may pumasok na 700 million. O ito yung bank statement ko niya, wala namang pumasok. Napakadaling i-dispute any nung sinasabi ng AMLAC. And magkaiba nga yung sinabi ni Attorney Poe at saka ni Sara Si Sara, she denies yung mga billion. O may wording siya na dininay niya yung billions. Habang si Attorney Poa, sinabi niya, hindi nila dinidispute yung mga numbers, yung presentation lang ng numbers. So medyo magkaiba sila ng sinasabi. Of course, yung kanilang mga apologists will try to spin as much as they can. Pero ang dali ibabalik mo lang. O, ba't di siya pumirma ng bank account? O bakit ano? So, yun, tinamaan talaga sila doon. Will that be enough? Kasi ang tanong dyan, ang importanteng tanong, will that be enough to sway someone from the Visayas, someone from Mindanao? Baka hindi masyado. Diba? Siguro sa Luzon, maybe, it can affect ano. Pero yun ang gusto ko makita kung ano yung epekto niya. Maybe in Cebu, nakita siguro
Yeah.
nila na niloloko tayo nito Akala natin yung pala bilyonaryo din.
But it could also open up yung, hindi naman permission structure, pero baka it could normalize criticism of Duterte's within Mindanao also, di ba? I mean, nakita natin na si Congressman, ano, di ba? Zia, di ba, na-interview ni Mark, di ba? Like, we might see more versions of him na mga magagaling na matatapang na matitinong leaders ng Mindanao na siguro matagal na nilang gustong sabihin na hindi naman mga Duterte lang magaling or actually hindi sila gano'ng kagaling. Siguro ngayon mas maengganyo sila kasi when you always say the core Duterte base, kasi parang ano di ba? Parang feeling natin forever solidified yan. But the other reason is walang nagra-rise na alternative Mindanao leaders. So baka ngayon you also open up that
Exactly.
possibility, di ba? Na even yung sa super core, minsan Duterte sila dahil Dutertes lang talagang pinapakita bilang representatibo ng mga Mindanaoans. When in fact, we know ang dami mga galing na taga
Madami.
Mindanao leaders.
Ayun, si
Exactly.
Congressman Zia. Ako, I could, di ba? He's
Can you tell us about the
articulate,
interview?
he's smart,
Mark,
matapang siya, may political will. So, we
you
need to
wanna tell us
explore
more?
more.
Sorry, you want to tell us more about Congressman Zia? Kasi I remember I interviewed him last year and sabi niya, bakit when Duterte talks as if naman siya yung galing dun sa struggle ng Moro people and all, hindi naman siya, he comes from, yes, they're both from Mindanao, but it's a different world. So basically, kine-question niya yung sense of entitlement na bakit Duterte lang ang pwedeng representative ng Mindanao, parang ganun. So I can expect there'll be more of those people, right? But what was your sense of Congressman Zia?
Yun, syempre meron ding sense of frustration. Syempre ramdam din niya yung strength ng mga Duterte sa kanilang riyon, sa kanilang sa buong Mindanao. Pero yun nga tama ka kasi kulang yung mga nagra-rise up para alternative sa mga Duterte. Na ano na marami sa mga taga Mindanao, they get their information more on sa Facebook na, social media na, doon na siya shape na nakita nila kumaga yung resentment sa mga iniisip nila, mga taga Luzon, na for the longest time, mababa tingin nyo sa amin, na hindi nyo kami binibigyan ng priority. Uh, Tapos Duterte was at the right place at the right time. And in fairness to Duterte, marami din naman siyang nagawa sa Mindanao. Yung sa Bangsamoro, the organic law, some of the roads dun sa Mindanao, sinasabi nila sa akin, noong panahon ni Duterte, nagawa tong kalsada na to, nagawa yung ganun. So, idagdag mo pa yun, medyo mahirap talaga eh. Mahirap talagang iyan yung base unless someone rises up na from Mindanao na it could give people an alternative. And of course, sa mga mga kababayan nating Muslim, medyo different din yung kanilang
Correct.
kultura, priorities, like yung mga, of course, issue sa kanila yung kanilang history, yung kanilang pride bilang Bangsamoro,
Na hindi
yung
kasama mga
kanilang
Duterte dyan. Na hindi kasama Duterte. They were not
na hindi
part of the
kasama,
government.
oo.
Exactly.
Oo, na hindi naman and of course they're also aware dun sa mga international issues like for example sa Gaza. I think that's another side na pwede nating tignan kasi it's deeply personal for our brother Muslims or country mga kapatid natin na Muslim yung nangyayari doon sa Middle East dahil of course they share the same faith with yung mga nakikita nilang mga nagiging biktima doon. So that is something na pwedeng i-explore, pwedeng tignan to address kung ano yung kailangan nila, kung ano yung their needs and kumaga bigyan sila ng importansya at halaga after how many decades of feeling overlooked yung mga kababayan natin na taga Mindanao and especially the mga Moro doon sa Barm.
But that's important kasi before I go back to Chris, like isa sa napansin ko sa mga Duterte, particularly with Sara Duterte, di ba parati sinasabi niya shukran towards the end. Actually sa mga issues na may kinalaman sa gitnang silangan, which by the way, it doesn't concern only Muslims. No? Medyo international law, human rights ang pinag-usapan dito beyond faith and other forms of religious solidarity. In fairness sa mga Duterte, di ba? Even Digong, even Sara. So actually, the challenge dun sa mga ibang candidates is also to show solidarity sa mga issues na yan. So I think that's really, para hindi ma-monopolize ng mga Dutertes na, hindi kami lang
Yes.
may pake. Which is not true because yung sinabi mo, Bangsamoro, organic law, all of that, actually si Pinoy ang nag-oversee nun. Former professor of ours in UP, Professor Miriam Ferrer oversaw the negotiations. Si Supreme Court Justice Leonen was part of those negotiations. So actually, sila Sir Ronald Llamas were part of those negotiations. So kumbaga, nakompleto lang ni Digong yung sinimulan ng mga kaibigan natin. But you're right, yung referendum passage ng 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and then of course, yung transition, yes, I'll give it to Digong, pero hindi naman siya yung deserve. But you're also right, Mark, no? Parati ko sinasabi, hindi debt trap nangyari sa China, pledge trap na walang major investments ng China sa Pilipinas. Pero yung mga small and medium scale bridges, schools, roads, actually maraming nagawa sa Mindanao nung panahon ni Digong. That's also true. We should not deny those things. So ang challenge dito sa mga ibang kandidato is to pay more respect, more attention to Mindanao among other things. So now Chris, balikan kita. So obviously we cannot talk about the expose without talking about Senator Trillanes. Where do you think this puts Senator Trillanes in the grand scheme of things? Kasi parang grabing moment of vindication sa kanya, no? I mean, basically, Senator Trillanes was like, ito yung nga yung sinasabi ko nung March 2016 pa. Hinintay ba natin hanggang April 2026 para which also tells about ang bagal natin, di ba? All these years, we could have checked AMLAC, we could have done investigations. Bakit hindi ito ginawa last year pa? Ito yung low-hanging fruit. So, but at the same time, parang the timing is also perfect kasi malapit na tayo sa elections. If this is gonna work, this is gonna be most damaging to the Dutertes too.
Alam mo yung pagsabi na parang bakit ngayon lang naniwala mga taong bayan, hindi marami naman naniwala kay Sonny Trillanes. I think it's just medyo getting a little bit dramatic eh. But people did believe him, except for the Duterte trolls and the Duterte supporters. But primarily, nakikita mo naman the way he was expressing himself and the way Digong was behaving. showed you that this was somebody who wasn't forthcoming. This was somebody who was obviously lying. Isipin mo, haharap ka sa Quadcom, hinamon ka ng isang katabi mo, pumirma ng bank waiver. Imbis, tapos sinabi mo, pipirma ka pero sasampalin mo. Tapos pumayag na magpasampal, biglang maiinis ka, gusto mong batuhan ng bato yung mic. Oh, tapos eventually aamin ka na may 200 million ka sa bank account mo. Tapos sasabihin mo, ano kala mo sa akin? Mahirap ako, may pera din naman kami dyan. Yung ang gulo niyang kausap at dito mo nakikita na pag tinira mo yung ego ni Duterte, mapapaamin mo siya. Again, I always say nga yun, na parang it reminds me of A Few Good Men when Tom Cruise had Jack Nicholson sa stand. Tapos tinanong niya, ano, did you kill this person? And then napaamin dahil sa sobrang pikon niya kay Tom Cruise. Ganun exactly is what happened to Duterte. Now, with Senator
You use the
Trillanes,
ego against that person. You use their ego
yes,
to expose them. Yeah.
and even with Sara, ganun din. Pag tinamaan mo yung ego niya, tiga mo nung natamaan yung ego niya ni Madriaga by saying na hindi naman matalino si Sara Duterte, kailangan niya na tulong para makapasa. Tapos bully pa yan na violente. Dun siya nag-focus. Nagsulat siya ng isang mahabang sagot na hindi naman daw siya bobo, nakakuha nun, napasa naman daw yung bar exam. And I'm like, teka, laki ng allegation sa'yo tungkol sa pera.
80 daw yung score.
Oo, di ba? Doon siya nakatutok. Again, do you want to attack the Dutertes and get them to admit stuff? Attack their ego and mapapaamin mo yung mga yan. And so, I have to say, I've said this so many times, I'll say it again. Thank you talaga to Senator Sara Trillanes dahil sa kanya, siya ang lumaban mag-isa. Nung panahon ni Duterte, na lahat tinakot na, Sonny Trillanes was there. He never let up. And honestly, kung manalo si Sara Duterte bilang presidente, Sonny Trillanes will still be there hounding them and making sure na mananagot yung mga yan. And we have to protect Sonny Trillanes.
Mark, you wanna come on that? Kasi of course, matagal mo kilala si Sentry, no? Alam ko naman si Sentry, hindi yan sentimental, pero once in a while, nagtaan na rin yan. Medyo, sabi ko nga, nagtampo ka pa sa akin last year nung para sabi ko, huwag na kayong away ni Lenny. Tapos binalik na naman yan last week.
Ako syempre 1 year din na nakasama ko sila sa campaign trail, preparing of course yung kanyang takbo nun. So hindi lang naman si Sentry yung nakasama ko, pati yung kanyang buong Magdalo na grupo. And nakita ko yung kanilang samahan, yung kanilang pagmamahal sa bayan, and nakita ko din si Sentry yung pagka-honorableng tao kasi before ang maririnig mo lahat ng mga paninira sa kanya, lahat ng mga binabato sa kanya, pero makikita mo na he's someone who stands up for what is right, kung ano yung paniniwala niya, even sometimes na it gets him into a lot of trouble. Kaya talagang bilib na bilib din ako. Isa lang ang parati ko sinasabi. At ito, pikon na pikon yung mga DDS kapag sinasabi ko. Tandaan nyo, kahit anong paninira nila kay Sonny, anong sasabihin nila dun sa mga statements na binabato niya. Remember guys, Sonny Trillanes already won. Nanalo na siya. Natalo niya yung kanyang kalaban na si Rodrigo Duterte. Nung nakaupo si Digong bilang presidente, he made a promise while he was senator noon. Sabi niya, pagbaba mo sa pwesto, ipapakulong kita. Bibigyan ko ng hustisya lahat ng mga naging biktima ngayong panahon mo. And that is exactly what he did. It took him 5, 6, 7 years. Pero he got there. And ngayon, the confirmation of charges, he will be on trial. The whole world, alam na. The whole world will be watching. Dahil yan nalalabas na sa ICC lahat ng mga ebidensya laban sa kanya, and that is what Trillanes has been saying throughout all these years, despite yung mga threats sa buhay niya, threats sa papakulong siya, or he stood firm and he already won. Yung laban kay Sara Duterte, ibang laban yon. That is still going on right now. Sa impeachment, sa di ba, sa ombudsman, baka magkakaso Sara Duterte. Ibang laban yon, and hindi natin alam kung ano magiging resulta niyan, kung if Sonny Trillanes will once again come on top. But yung kanyang laban kay Rodrigo Duterte, he already won. Panalo na siya. So I think we should appreciate that and be proud doon sa effort at hirap na dinanas itong si Sunny in achieving that victory for the victims, for the family of the victims nung 6 na taon ni Digong.
Okay, let's go into it kasi mukhang beyond vindication ng point ni Senator Sentry, di ba? So, I suppose you saw at least yung snippets ng interview ko with Sentry na obviously it goes now with the announcement by Ma'am Lenny na well, supposedly hindi siya interesado to run, and then you have Kiko coming saying no, we hope she will run, blah blah blah. So obviously Senator Trillanes' priority now has shifted beyond exposing Duterte. He's really gung-ho on preventing yung return ng Duterte dahil sa kanyang palagay, hindi natin ma-dismiss yung possibility that because unfortunately once this goes to the Senate, numbers game na yan. I think the prediction is at least 11 or 12 senators are expected to side with Sara Duterte. So things are gonna get tricky. Chris, how do you see the Sonny Trillanes, let's just say, medyo hardline position on maybe Lenny's not the best candidate for the Pinks and all of that? Do you think, kasi nakita natin may pushback na especially from some of the supporters of Ma'am Lenny. By the way, happy birthday kay Attorney Lenny, Mayor Lenny. I mean, love natin silang lahat, diba? But where do you think Sonny's coming when it comes, kasi parang he has a sense of urgency at he's basically saying, if you want to prevent the return of Duterte, and basically Duterte is going after all of us, and kami nila Ronald, nasa top 40 list rin yata kami, hindi si Lenny ang candidate. And basically for him, it's really Risa. How do you read that situation, Chris? Knowing na mahal natin
alam mo,
lahat. Oh.
Yeah, to begin with, tignan mo muna like where Mayor Lenny's coming from. I think meron siyang certain amount of principled thinking where she doesn't believe in the idea of a savior. I know that because kasi kahit nung tumatakbo siya for president, I remember this. And this is when I did that video. Sinabi ko nga that I'm not voting for Lenny because of who she is. I'm voting for Lenny because I'm voting for my country and I'm
What she
looking for
stands
somebody.
What she stands
Yeah, that stands for and that will work for the country. And that happens to be Lenny Robredo. Parang ganon. So, ibig sabihin nun, anyone can fit that mold. So, we start with ano ba ang hinahanap natin sa isang kandidato that is good for the country, good for the people, at ideologically, dapat somebody who's aligned with principled beliefs, di ba? So, yung pananaw ni Lenny dito is the same idea. And I have to say, if she doesn't run, then this will, ito lang ang problem na. Ito yung problem. Is the voting population, the Filipino population, mature enough to be able to pick somebody based on principles rather than on their personality? Yun lang. That's a question we're gonna be answering in 2028. Kasi kung personalidad pa rin, manalo nga si Sara Duterte dahil hindi si Lenny, hindi nila iboboto. Pero it doesn't make sense to me. I can't imagine, Dahil, let's say, hindi tatakbo si Lenny, and then let's say, Risa Ontiveros runs. People are gonna say, I'd rather vote for Sara than Risa. Or Bam Aquino runs, I'd rather vote for Sara than Bam. O kaya Mar Rojas runs, and I'd rather vote Sara over Mar. I can't imagine anyone that's not a DDS going the route of the Duterte just because another candidate run that's not named Lenny Robredo. That doesn't make sense to me. Again, unless I don't understand psychology of people at may mga ganun talaga. But I don't think so I really don't think so. Malakas ang tiwala ko sa ating taong bayan. Sa ating mga kababayan na marunong mag-isip ang ating mga kababayan. At ang problema, yung ilan na natitira na sobrang panatiko pa sa mga Duterte ay unfortunately hindi nakakalabas sa kanilang echo chamber. Hindi sila nakakalabas sa kuweba nila. And when I say kuweba, I'm not insulting them or making fun of them. I'm actually referring to kuweba because I am referring to the allegory of the cave by Plato, 'di ba? Where sabi niya, pag nasa loob ka ng kuweba, may mga tas lumaki ka na doon, buong buhay mo. Remember, the Duterte have been in power for 30 years, over 30 years in Davao. So, marami sa mga botante ni Duterte ay yun lang ang nakita nila yung kadiliman. Yun ang alam nilang katotohanan. So akala nila ang buhay ay itong kadiliman yung sa loob ng kuweba. Tapos yung puppet master si na Duterte, nagpapakita ng mga images na shadows na nakikita nila. Tapos akala nila yun ang katotohanan. Pero hindi pala nakikita yung totoong liwanag sa labas. Tayo yung liwanag na nagpapakita sa kanila na, uy, merong buhay at merong pananaw at merong tamang paraan para makamit ang kapayapaan na hindi ginagawa ng mga Duterte at saka abusado itong mga Duterte. Mamamatay tao sila. Hindi kailangan maging mamamatay tao para magkaroon ng kapayapaan. Yan ang pinapakita natin sa kanila ngayon. And with that, I have to say, just going back to Lenny's decision. If Lenny runs, and honestly, I know she's saying she won't, but I don't know. Baka with enough clamor, she might. But even if she doesn't, I'm willing to take the risk. Dahil para sa akin, I do believe in the democracy that kung yan ang gusto ng taong bayan, so be it. And kung di pa tayo natuto, kung di pa tayo natuto ngayon with all the corruption that we're seeing, ay good luck na talaga sa Pilipinas. We deserve the president and the mess we're in. That's all I have to say.
Well, I want to go back to that kasi yung allegory of the cave ni Plato, the nuance was that hindi lang yung fact na maraming tao ay yung mga shadows in the wall. Kung naman ay fire sa loob ng kuweba, shadows in the wall, akala nila yun yung katotohanan. Pero kailangan mo lumabas sa kuweba at makita mo yung totoong liwanag.
Yes!
But nevertheless, sabi na hindi lahat ng tao are able to take yung liwanag. In fact, there's a possibility pag
Yes.
makita mo yung tunay liwanag, babalik ka sa loob dahil it's too much. It's overwhelming. Why is that important? Because when Ma'am Lenny said, can we move beyond itong personality, stick, and Messiah-based politics, basically yung Corazon Aquino thing, the Pinoy 2010 thing, di ba? Na ito
Yep.
yung Messiah, good versus evil. Well, in a way, Lenny was also, I know what she didn't mean that, but she was also criticizing or critiquing yung tendency din ng mga kaibigan natin na progressive to also be stuck in that world. Na parating may hinanap sila ng sinong next Corazon Aquino. Sinong next. Do you get what I'm saying? So actually,
I understand.
I know maraming galit sa akin because I, try to criticize different side, to be fair, na hindi ito nasa kampo lang ng mga DDS, hindi lang ito sa mga loyalista. I think unfortunately meron din yan sa mga ibang kaibigan natin. I mean, of course, pejoratively called dilawan, no? And the whole point of having the pink movement was to upgrade that, to go beyond that. And here we are, 2026, with all due respect to Kiko, Senator Kiko, to say na parang Lenny lang ang pag-asa, I think that's a disservice to the country.
I just have to say, sorry.
Yeah,
I have to,
No, kaya nga pinatulan ko kasi I want to get your point of view. So now you see where I'm coming from, Chris.
Yeah.
Mentioned that.
I am not saying that si Lenny lang ang pag-asa. I don't think that's what Kiko meant. What he's saying is just that, listen, right now, based on the surveys, there is somebody who's winnable, who can actually take on Sara Duterte and win. And that's what we need to do right now is win. Why? Because we have an existential threat. Now, the reason I agree with that thinking is this. Philippines, ito na existential threat either babagsak at lulubog talaga ang Pilipinas sa korupsyon at sa pagiging mga abusado ng mga politiko o we will rise above it. Meron tayong pagkakataon. And you have to pick the right leader for this. And unfortunately, wala pang lumalabas na iba. Unfortunately. So, it is the easy way out. It is the one that can get us out of this quagmire for now. And then, if Lenny comes in, for example, kasi nga winnable, she may not even be the best president. Okay? But she is much better than a Sara Duterte. So, yun lang. So, even if she wasn't the perfect president, but she can at least start that ball rolling to be able to start to fix the problems we have. And then, elect whoever we want to elect, then we'll have great candidates na labanan na based on abilities and a platform, then we become more of a truly thinking democracy. Yun. Now, I will add this. I agree with what you said, Richard, and I've said this also before. Sabi ko, the forces that made ERAP win, that made Duterte win, are the same forces that made Pinoy win, that made Aquino win, that made everyone else win. Ganun, it's the same thing. And I remember when Pinoy was running, I was even saying to people, why are you voting for him? If you look at his track record, it's not that great as a congressman. So bakit iboboto niyo siya? Sinasabi ko yun. Ay, dahil namatay yung nanay niya. And people were making fun of me. I remember a month before the election, I would, somebody heard me say it in public, and then, this lady just stuck her tongue out at me and said, well, talo ka, panalo kami. And I'm like, wow, what is this? What is this? Ako yung nagugulat sa mga reaction eh. It's the same thing. Yes, we have to break the pattern, Richard. I just don't think this is the time to be breaking it. I think we break it after we've started to fix some of the problems we have.
So Mark, before I go to you, can I give a 3-point response? Because I want Mark also to you to respond to also my point here. So 3 points, no? Unang-una, if you look at the Okta survey and some of the other surveys, ang laki ng jump ni Lenny between fourth quarter last year and first quarter this year. To be honest, the biggest factor I can see here is yung meeting niya with BBM. Right? So the implication here is that probably this is not just the pink base, it's the coalition that is the one. Did you get what I'm saying? It's the idea of loyalists and pro-Marcos people being open to endorse Lenny that makes Lenny very strong, not necessarily just her base among traditional progressives, liberals. So that in itself raises another question. Second, if Lenny doesn't run but endorses someone else, I want to see a data that shows me it doesn't transfer significantly. If you show me data that says only 50% of Lenny's people will defect to say, will go to BAM or RISA or whatever if Lenny endorses them, then okay, I'm willing to listen. But I haven't seen any data like that. So my sense is, yes, Lenny is surging, but if Lenny endorses someone as similar to her, then that person will also surge. And then the third point is, and this is where I want to respect Ma'am Lenny, like, I cannot say much on the record, but base sa mga tao na who were in her campaign, have been with her, grabe daw yung stress sa kanya. Running against BBM 2016, running against Duterte 2022, tatlo yung anak niyang babae. Imagine the amount of threats, everything she faced. So, hindi ito grabe yung nadaanan ni Ma'am Lenny. And at the same time, tama rin sinabi niya, parang 1 year pa lang siya sa pagka-mayor niya. Tapos ngayon, biglang sabi niya, national na ako. Sabi niya, hindi ko nga pa naayos yung naga eh. Marami pang bureaucracy dyan na hindi mo maayos. Kasi you need to work around the law. Hindi mo naman pwede i-fire lahat sa City Hall or whatever. So I'm just seeing many complicating factors here. Just when we need to make sure na before the end of 2026, meron na tayong more or less idea sino yung mga standard bearer. So completely agree with you, Chris. At the first look, absolutely, Lenny looks like the one. And of course, there's no debate. No one wants Sara Duterte or Duterte's back in their right mind. I mean, no offense to dun sa mga kaibigan natin unless you want to go back to budol politics. But then again, going back to what I said, it looks like the Marcos-Lenny thing did a lot of magic, which tells us it's not just a pink liberal base. And second, I'm yet to hear that see a data that shows if Lenny endorses Bam or Risa, her numbers are non-transferable. I don't see any evidence for that, but I'm happy to be corrected. And third, Ma'am Lenny, probably her timeline is very difficult to make it clear now. As you said, Chris, I won't be surprised, say, middle of next year, let's say overwhelmingly Lenny's still number one, maybe she'll change her mind. But do we want to wait until next year? While Lenny's sorting out yung pagka-mayor niya sa Naga. So do you see where I'm coming from? So I agree with you, Chris. I'm just saying there's more to this story. So now, Mark, you want to respond to points namin dito?
Yeah. Una dun kay Lenny, kay Mayora Lenny. Ito yung tingin ko doon sa what she's doing right now, which is, I think, makes sense din eh. Sinasabi niya, ilayong niyo muna ako, maganda nga sana if we do not include her sa surveys, let's check out other candidates. Kung sinasabi nyo na gusto mo si ganito, sige try natin. Alisin mo ko dyan sa survey. Kung may umakyat, kung may tumaas, I think Lenny would gladly endorse yung kanyang kaalyado na yon, di ba? And it would save her yung pagod and yung stress and yung that you were saying, di ba? If she could just support BAM, she could just support Trisa, that would be less pressure on her. She could focus on Naga. Pero tingin ko, come 2027, next year, middle of next year, wala pa rin umaangat. Walang umaangat, walang gustong tumakbo, it would still be Lenny. I think siya, sa kanya pa rin babagsak. Siya pa rin and I think she would take up the challenge if makita sa mga survey siguro, if she goes one-on-one against dito kay Sara, na maganda yung kanyang chance. Or baka nga ma-impeach si Sara, baka kung si Bastiman yung kalaban niya. So I think yun ang ginagawa ni Lenny sa ngayon. In my opinion, I could be wrong. Pero sige, subukan nyo muna. This would also grow our bench, di ba? Kasi para umangat din yung ano natin, ibang hindi lang ako, umangat din si Bam, umangat si Risa, umangat yung ibang kandidato natin. O tingnan natin kung kaya nyo na, o isusuporta ako. O, walang question doon. Kung hindi nyo pala kaya, wala tayong choice, wala sa inyong gustong tumakbo. O, ako na yung tatakbo. Tapos pangalawa, dun kasi yung sa when you talk about looking for a savior or yung Messiah complex, and para sa akin merong segment din ng population kasi na medyo na-offend kapag nasasabihan sila na parang hindi nyo alam, nasa dilim kayo, nasa ano kayo, we will show you into this light na dapat ganito. So merong ewan ko, na-offend sila eh. Ayaw nilang, parang may sense na nilulook down sila, na mababa yung tingin sa kanila na they cannot decide para sa sarili nila at kumaga tanga yung ano or bobo yung ano, pangit ng term, pero hindi na napag-isipan yung kanilang choice or hindi sila matalino for picking this. So merong malaking segment na na-offend pag ganun eh. So I think medyo maingat din tayo sa ganung style or sa ganung ano. Na tama din naman yung sinabi ni Lenny na don't look for a savior. Kasi ganun yung lumalabas na ililigtas kayo nitong kandidato na to from ganyan. Lastly, ayun, I think yung sa importante pa rin, this would give us in the right time. Sana nga, yun ang hiling ko, alisin muna si Mayora Lenny sa mga surveys for us to see kung sino ba, kung meron ba talagang ibang kandidato, meron bang ano. Kasi if she decides to come back, babalik naman yan eh, I think. Pero ito pala yung last point ko. Kay Senator Kiko Pangilinan na. Of course, prefer niya si Mayora Lenny. Walang question doon. Vice siya ni Mayora nung tumakbo. Pero I think napaka-importante yung role ni Kiko dito. As I was saying dun sa mga previous episodes natin, he should start acting he is the leader ng Liberal Party, which is the biggest party in the Pink Coalition. He should start acting like yung Liberal Party is going for a comeback sa 2028. We have a deep bench. Pwede namin si Lenny, pwede namin si Risa, pwede namin si Bam, or although hindi sila liberal, pero kumbaga yung we have a malaki yung aming pwedeng pagpilian, pero ang aim namin for 2028, kasi for sure coming to the elections, maraming magtatalunan, magpapalitan ng mga politiko. Dalawa lang ang choice nyo, either sa PDP kung maka-Duterte kayo, or sa amin kung sino man yung kandidato namin na ilalaban. So I think Kiko should start focusing on that, na palakasin yung liberal, a new and kumbaga, bagong itsura, bagong look, mas modern, and of course merong base. Yun yung importante. I think yung sa ibang parties, yung mga ibang partido natin, sabihin natin for example Lakas, malalaki sila, they have money, they have machinery, pero wala silang base of supporters, unlike the PDP na mga DDS and yung liberal na mga pinks. So I think Senator Kiko should use that to grow the party, para if ever kung si Lenny man o kung sino man sa pink side ang tatakbo, the party is ready to get allies all over the country and be the dominant party come 2028. I think yun yung maging focus dapat, and I think napaka-importante yung buong role niya dito.
Can I say something there? Except for me, hindi sapat na sasabihin ni Lenny na hindi siya handa or ayaw niya tumakbo. I think if this is gonna work without Lenny running, right? Lenny has to really actively endorse someone or some process. So if she's not gonna endorse someone, siguro kasi alam niya, Bam could be open, Risa could be open, someone else could be open. Lenny has to endorse a process. Kasi kung baga, if she's still the de facto leader, she's the most popular person outside the Duterte camp, she has to endorse a process. Now, whether that process, Mark, I'm skeptical. Again, by the way, thank you to Liberal Party among others who showed solidarity to us last year nung hinaras kami dun sa Supreme Court sa mga others. I have a lot of respect for them and all. At the same time, alam natin, BAM is not Liberal Party anymore. Umalis na siya. Risa is Akbayan, although she has some interface with Liberal. So Liberal Party is not the only game in town as far as the non-Duterte forces or anti-Duterte forces. So maybe Lenny could endorse a coalition or a process whereby all of these different good forces can come together. Yung parang rage ba yung pinag-usapan natin, ginagawa ng mga DDS? There should be a version of that. Maybe a One Sambayan 2.0 or whatever. In short, ang point ko is, hindi pwede ambivalent. Hindi sapat na Lenny will say she's not gonna run. If she's not really gonna run, she has to endorse something, a process or a person. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're stuck here. We're basically stuck here.
But I
But
think
at
yun
the
yung
same-
role ni Kiko eh. Hindi pwedeng si
Yeah.
Lenny yung mag-start ng ano kasi isa siya sa mga
Yes.
options. Si Kiko, I think
Tama.
hindi siya tatakbo sa 2028. He could be the one to to bring everyone
And two of
together
them.
kasi
And two of them. Because they ran...
hindi
as-
kaso nga si Lenny is meron chance pa rin tumakbo eh.
Yeah.
Even if she says na hindi siya tatakbo.
Yep.
Some people, hindi, gusto mo pa rin tumakbo eh. May ganun, may
Yun nga yung
ganun.
point ko, bro. We're kind of stuck here now because we won't never... Ganito, hindi natin malaman kung may chance yung iba kung ang umaasa lahat na si Lenny pa rin ang tatakbo.
Hmm.
The only way na
Dapat
makikita
alisin lang
natin
siya
yung
sa
rally.
survey. Yun lang yun eh. Alisin lang siya sa Pulse Asia.
Yeah.
Pwede bang sabihin
Pero ayaw
mo
siyang
ngayon?
tanggalin. Kinausap ko yung mga surveys. Parang,
Ayaw na natanggalin.
or show us a
Even if
head-to-head of
Even if
others.
si Lenny mismo makiusap sa kanila,
Alam
baka
ko
yun.
Opta has some private they did before na showed Riza and Rafi were strong. But, I don't know. I mean, the point is, pipilitin pa rin ng iba ni Lenny pa rin. Like, Lenny pa rin.
Yeah.
So,
Pero
it cannot be
Richard,
Lenny saying no lang. Lenny has to say, no, hindi ako tatakbo. Please look at others.
no, Lenny did say, Richard, Lenny did say that already nga. Look at others, si Risa. Marami
Okay,
dyan, sabi niya. Ang dami, di
Yeah,
ba
but
dami
she has to
sabi
do it
si Risa.
actively. Hindi pwede.
No, but
Hindi
right
lang,
now-
it has to be an active process. It has to be an
I
active
know, I agree with Mark on this one na she's a candidate as well kasi nga in the eyes of people. And mahirap po siya yung magsasabi na parang, you will be the standard bearer. Who is she to say you will be the standard bearer because I endorse you? Tapos paano if the coalition decide on somebody else pero Lenny went to endorse somebody else? Adi patay tayo dyan, di ba? It's better to be talking about this in private, not in public, pag-usapan nila, decide on who will be that candidate, and when it's decided, then she can make the endorsement. But she cannot be the one to make the endorsement to decide sino dapat tatakbo. She has to be part of that discussion behind the scenes. And then, pag nakapag-decide na, o sige, ako na yung tatakbo, o go na tayo. Whether it's Bam, Risa, Joy Belmonte, Mar Rojas, whoever it may be.
Then don't say na hindi ako tatakbo. Then
Hindi, importante yung survey eh. Kasi
Yeah, no, I agree
kung
with
alisin
Mark.
mo si Lenny doon,
But I'm
may isang
sorry, like
latas eh.
surveys, seriously, like we're basing all of this on surveys now. Like, again, as I
combination
said,
of
even
the
if
many
we base it on
surveys.
surveys, as long as people think it's going to be Lenny, and as long as survey agencies are not releasing the head-to-head multiple scenarios, it creates this reality na Lenny lang pwede. And then now you have Kiko and all saying Lenny lang pwede. You have Lenny Sobersa and Lenny lang pwede. Now you're seeing others attacking Sentry for saying, let's look at... Ang point ko dito is, the way to reconcile is, Lenny will just say, may proseso po tayo, respetuhin natin what will happen. So neither say, I will not run or run. Right? Like Lenny will say, let's not make it about personality, let's not make it about Messiah, let's make it about the process, and then privately discuss the process, and then say, whoever napipiliin, respetuhin natin. If that's the position, I think it could open the space. Pero if the position here is, it's just Lenny lang may chance, and it's matter of us begging her to run, and then hintayin natin until next year, kumbaga, wala nang chance for others to shine eh. Because Lenny is such a big figure. So unless she endorses a process, okay, tama si Chris. You don't want to endorse a person, I'm fine. Endorse a process and then endorse the person that the process chooses.
Pero yun ang tanong, Richard eh.
Yan ang point ko
Possible
eh.
ba yung process na yan? In the recent history natin, meron bang nangyaring ganyang process na parang sa Amerika na primaries?
Kaya nga
or
nandito
something?
tayo because wala tayong parties, wala tayong primaries,
Pero
napakasabog.
is that even possible? Yun ang tanong
Yeah,
ko
of
eh.
course it won't be
Diba,
possible.
kasi
You don't
for the
try.
last,
It's not possible. Ganito na lang for me ah. let's say we did a process, we got a candidate, tapos horrible pa rin yung survey niya until next year, then ako mismo, I'll beg Lenny to run. But we will never get there if we don't even try. But we won't even try it.
Paano process
if
ang
Lenny
iniisip mo?
endorse it.
A group of 10 people, magbobotohan sila, si ganun yung choice natin. Paano process ba ang... Kasi di ba sa Amerika, they have primaries, pero dito for the pink side, anong possible na process yung gagawin nila to pick that? Meron silang
For me,
board?
while we have time, we can maybe crowdsource the idea. Maybe there could be half voting, half a committee. Obviously, it's too late for us to create a party or primers. Ganito. So if you look at yung interview ko with Prof. Arguelles, we talk about Hungary. Di ba? Tinalo nila si Orban after almost 16 years in power because nag-unify lahat ng mga grupo behind one candidate. And it's not like one party, it was a coalition politics. Turkey almost did that successfully. Czech Republic did that before. So I'm not talking about like first world countries. I'm talking about Hungary, Czech. I mean, I'm not talking about established democracies. So ako naman, we just have to be creative. We don't have to do Democratic, Republican primaries. I think it's too late for that. You need real political parties. But we can do coalition-based negotiations, single candidate, let's say Team Philippines kind of candidacy. And in that situation, if Lenny is Lenny, then Lenny is Lenny, right? That's it. We'll choose Lenny. Ang point ko is, at this point in time, it sounds to me like we're still in 2009. Sino bang Messiah natin? Sino bang, like, hindi tayo nag-grow. We're still an immature, very underdeveloped democracy. Yes, I agree with Chris. Ako pa. I have skin in this game. Of course, we don't want the bad people to come back. Gusto ko rin, sigurado tayo. But gusto ko rin sana gamitin itong oportunidad to come up with the proper process to choose the best possible, not only candidate, but best possible president, someone we can trust and respect, someone who's not as bad as Duterte's, but someone who really brings about transformative change. So whether it's Bam, whether it's Riza, whether it's Kiko, whether it's Lenny, all of them, we have to give them a chance. But they won't get a chance if we're not going to do a proper process. And that process, actually, as we speak, we're debating over it. I heard primary
Meron lang din akong ino-note, Richard, diba? Yung maganda yung sinabi mo na they came together yung iba't ibang parties and they pinanalo nila yung kandidato nila. Ang problema dyan dito sa atin, lahat ng mga ibang parties, the NPC, the NUP, parati yan last minute Diba? Pag nasa election na, doon sila negotiations behind the scenes, tapos tsaka sila papasok, tsaka sila Kaya siguro ang mensahe ko kanina, Senator Kiko, liberal, should lead by strength na kami ang magiging dominant party. Of course, kasama namin yung Akbayan, kasama namin yung KNP, pero kami ang mas matagal, kami ang mas maraming membro, kami ang mas may So, lead by strength, tapos attract the other parties to join, and then maybe yun nga, we could have that process of choosing kung sino yung kandidato na pwedeng ilaban itong yan si Richard.
Ayan.
Sorry. Medyo lumang yung mga
Yun, naputol.
Medyo mainit. Kailangan ng medyo tubig muna tayo dyan. No, but this is good.
pero yun yung punto nga, Richard. I think
hindi ito madali.
Yung process, dapat may mamuno And I think yung Liberal Party should lead that and to show na let's do this process. We have Akbayan, we have KNP. We need more partners. Gusto naming makuha kayo sa NPC, kayo sa NUP. Then we could start then we could go through the process. Pero yun nga, siya yung key dito to lead itong process na sinasabi na sinasabi mo na kailangan gawin nga nitong grupo.
So you see where I'm coming from, Chris. Like I'm if it's Lenny, wala akong problema. I'm the last person who wants a reckless, risky move. Ang sinasabi ko lang, we still have time to do it properly with the proper process. And Mark is right, hindi pa natin nagawa yan, but there's always a first time, brother. Otherwise, we won't improve. There's always a first. Maybe this is the best time. Habang humihina si Sara.
Mini primaries.
Yeah,
Di ba?
or whatever
Just
it
to
is.
get
Ako,
the feel ng mga ano, just to get the feel ng mga
yeah.
membro, 'di ba? Ng mga kabataan and mga kung sino ba who could lead ba itong ano in case Lenny doesn't run. Di ba?
Baka nga we can even crowdfund yung mga pink leaders, youth leaders. You know, like there are many ways to. Ako, I'm just saying,
Tama.
we
The
still have
different
5 to 6 months.
organizations.
Oo, baka ito pa yung chance natin mag-mobilize ng volunteers again. Pink movement talaga na to, bro. You have to revive the pink movement.
Pero
Sinasabi namin,
sa bagay, the network is still
the
still alive
network
pa
is
rin naman,
there.
di
I
ba?
was told na meron naman silang yung mga, they have a kind of a registry daw. Oo.
Oh, different places.
Meron naman.
Saan
At
nga?
ma-inspire na sila ngayon. I mean, I'm sure they still want Lenny, but I'm not, but I don't think like if it's Bam or Risa, like they will be angry or something. Because those are also lovable candidates, di ba? Lalo-lalo na kung endorse sila ni Ma'am Lenny. If I ang sinasabi ko na is we still have 5 to 6 months before this end of this year. Let's try something new, something good. And then, if it doesn't work, it's okay. Let's all go whoever does best in the survey just like before. Okay lang sa akin yun. But while we
And
have
and
time, let's do something good. Let's do something new. That's all I'm saying.
kailangan i-grow din, Richard, yung sorry to interrupt. I-grow, kumaga yung mga personalities din na maybe we could get the Coco Pimentels, the Sunny Angaras, the Manny Pacquiaos, the Dick Gordon, the B-Nice sa Makati, mga kaalyado dati, di ba? Maybe it's time to start bringing them
Grand
back to the fold.
coalition. Pero wait, Mark,
Grand
gusto mo
coalition.
Marojas, di ba? Pero Mark, gusto mo Marojas, di ba?
Yun, Marrojas.
Then what's this Marojas all about? Erice Marojas. What's going on?
Recess, kasi I interviewed Kong Egay about yung sa proposal niya sa diesel price cap. Tapos we talked about the future ng Liberal Party, and sabi niya, ang punto na sinabi niya, at this point, we should identify muna sino yung mga kandidato na who have the credentials or who have the ability to lead this country. Kaya niya nasabi yung Marojas. Tapos when you identify it na, tsaka nyo ngayon tignan kung meron bang path to victory itong taong ito. Kasi ang nangyayari minsan, ang unang isip ka agad is winnability lang.
Yun nga, which is
Yun na una ka agad.
Yeah.
Simula pa lang. Pero we are still, actually, 1.5 years away na lang pala. We could throw out names na pwede nating pag-usapan, tingnan natin if it sticks. At the very least, ang iniisip ko naman, we will give 5 to 10 names. Yung mga hindi pumasa dyan, maybe we could get them as senators, di ba? We could need a Senator Mar Rojas in the Senate, di ba? He could do well in the Senate pag nandyan si Senator Mar to get him out of retirement. And like I said, mabigat yung laban for Senate sa 2028. Kasi babalik dyan yung mga Philip Salvador, mga Jimmy Bondoc, mga baka si Robin Padilla, baka mga ganon. So mabigat we need also a very strong senatorial slate to go up against sa kalaban. And of course, doon nga papasok yung mga Sani Angara, yung mga ibang mga pangalan pa na that we could get over to our side.
Marojas could. Alam mo, guys, we keep on saying wala tayong political party kaya isa yan sa mga problema natin. But I would say, even worse is wala tayong runoff elections. So imagine if we had runoff elections kung saan first round, yung top 2 lang pupunta sa second round, then magkakaroon ng coalition. Do you get what I'm saying? It makes everything easier, right? Coalition building is so easy when you have a runoff elections, whereby the top 2 go to the second round, and then doon magkakaalaman sila na magsama-sama. Because in theory, until the last election day, pwede ka pa rin pumili ng one if others are willing to back out. Right? Like, I'm willing to look at the surveys until the very last survey of March 2028. Right? If we want to be really practical about it. I'm saying we have so much more time. What we don't do is yung coalition building, actually in a way yung unit team. As much as we hate that thing, it kind of told us if the biggest trapos could create a coalition, why can't the biggest good people create coalition? That's also my point, right? Because the unity never happened. In fairness to the unity, at least it gave us idea about coalition building. And tignan mo, nagsama sila, 60% ang nakuha nila for the first time. So maybe, Chris, that's where I'm coming from. So we're completely in agreement. I'm just pushing the level of analysis to the next level, to the next level, to the next level.
Mhm.
Because I think this is a historic a moment. Now, let's go to this the Duterte in ICC for the last part of our discussion because all the question I keep on saying is, okay, what will happen to Digong? So far lahat ng prediction namin totoo. But the always big question is, what if God forbid something happens to Digong close to the elections? Are you guys worried? Chris, are you worried about sympathy vote? If ever
Ah,
Digong, you know, closer to election time, yung alam mo naman, sympathy vote style.
Again, I think naman na naniniwala talaga ako that majority of the Filipinos nagising na. Na hindi na tayo madadala sa ganyang klaseng politics. Remember, there were a lot of things that happened in 2025 that shows you na iba na ang ihip ng hangin. Hindi nanalo ang ilan sa mga artista na tumatakbo, including sina Willie Revillame, sina Bong Revilla, na dati ng senador. Ilang beses na. So nakikita mo yan, ha? They could have easily won, but they did not. Heidi Mendoza getting almost was it the 9 million votes out of nowhere without a machinery. So nakikita mo nagising na yung mga tao eh. And because of that, even if Duterte dies, I'm sure it will have an uptick in the Sara numbers, but I don't think it's going to be significant. And I do believe majority of people nagising na talaga ngayon. And I can't imagine somebody, dahil namatay si Duterte, galit ka sa mga Duterte, biglang, ay, babalik ako doon. I can't imagine. Unless I'm really bad with psychology at hindi ko na nakikita kung ano ba yung nakikita ng taong bayan, maybe I'm an optimist. Well, I'd like to believe na matalino ang ating mga botante at naniniwala ako na hindi tayo nadadala sa ating emosyon na basta-basta lang.
Yeah, Mark, you need to go, Mark? We were saying?
No, no.
Yeah, on the Digong, what do you think? So Chris is saying, not like genius tayong lahat, pero we can learn from our mistakes, di ba? At sana naman
Mm.
natauhan tayo, namulat tayo after all these years. A part of me is also like Chris, I'm a bit cautiously optimistic na yung Duterte sympathy bump, I think
Mhm.
at its moment na. We saw that last year and I think yun na yun. I think medyo nagsink in sa mga tao. But I think Chris, that's also why it's important yung mga leaders, yung mga kandidato ng mga Team Pinas or whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
They have to reach out to people and say, oo, alam namin, syempre nakakaawa si Digong, ganito,
Yep.
ganyan. Pero sana maawa rin kayo dun sa mga biktima, maintindihan natin ang proseso. At kung ako ang presidente, sisiguraduhin ko na sasali tayo ulit sa ICC pero sisiguraduhin natin na maayos ang hustisya dito yung justice system para dito na natin i-try yung mga tao na sangkot sa mga mass atrocities, etc. So, I think there has to be an effort to reach out to the Filipino people on the Digong
Mhm.
question, if I can put it that way. Yeah, Mark, you were saying, please.
Sa akin yun nga as usual naman, ako mas pessimistic ng konti. Although nakikita ko nga yung pag-rise ni Lenny, yung pagliliit nung lamang ni Sara. Definitely habang lumalabas yung mga ginagawa niyang illegal dito sa impeachment, talagang naaapektuhan. And the Filipinos deserve to know yung kanilang mga kandidato na 'di ba, i-elect nyo, hindi nyo alam na bilyonarya pala the whole time. So tama lang 'yun. Pero I'm still not over the hump yet. Medyo kinakabahan pa rin. Marami pa ring segment ng population na they like Digong talaga at hindi mo kayang siraan si Digong sa kanila. But you could offer something better. You could offer someone na baka mas magustuhan nila na sige, nasubukan natin yung Duterte. Gusto ko pa rin yung Duterte. Pero try naman natin to. Try naman natin tong kandidato na to. And so yun, so merong iba na ganong style yung mas effective sa kanila. So napaka-importante din ng pipiliin nating kandidato na malaki nga talaga yung makukuha dun sa mga people in the middle or yung mga undecided.
So John, siguro papasok yung buong slate, no? Senate slate, gubernatorial slate kasi doon ka makakabuo ng coalition at saka mga surrogates, mga supporters. At yun nga, yung sabi ko kailangan din natin ng multilingual, 'di ba? Na talagang
Mhm.
parang Ma'am Dani style, 'di ba? In Bisaya, in Waray, in different languages, 'di ba? And I think that's really the way forward. In short, Chris and Mark, no, feeling ko lang there's so much we haven't done yet. And isa sa problema natin is we always want to do the next elections like the previous election. Like the past is the future. What if the future is really a new future? Right? We just have to create it. Look at it. Duterte won because he didn't play by the old tricks, di ba? Mark? Duterte just
Mm.
reinvented it. Duterte just did Duterte. And they completely changed Philippine politics. Trump, the same thing. I mean, we don't agree with these people, but let's be honest, they're original. And I think being original has its own advantages too. It's risky, but it has its own advantage. And why can't the other side also be more original, considering how intelligent and everyone is? Now let's go to the last part of discussion. Let's close this. Interesting, and I think the Sentry Lenny part really got us working. But I like this discussion. I think it makes us realize mahirap talaga to. Hindi ito madali. So I empathize with our leaders. I empathize with Ma'am Lenny, among others. I know this is not easy choice, but I hope people get more involved. So where do we see things going, Chris? Anong expectation natin for next week? Ano yung mechanics, ano yung sequence with the Sara impeachment hearing? Mukhang mag-tour world tour na naman si Sara eh.
Yeah, well, right now, first of all, talagang iiwas si Sara dito sa impeachment hearings na to, number one. Number two, talagang walang sisipot sa kanyang mga abogado. Number three, it's going to still be it's still gonna be political theater kung saan talagang ang kinukort ng mga na support ng mga iba't ibang mga partido dito sa usapan ng impeachment is the public, tayong lahat, because we hold the power. Okay? Now, next hearing, hindi ko alam kung lalabas na ba yung bank accounts ni Madriaga dito o hindi pa. Pero definitely, there's going to be other witnesses that resource people that are gonna come through. I'm not sure if Trillanes is gonna come back again kasi pagkaalam ko yun na yun for now. Now remember, beyond the Committee on Justice hearing, the last one will happen next week after that kasi I think they're gonna have to transmit it na to the Senate if okay na lahat kasi even when you
Botohan.
heard okay na ba lahat, Mark? Sabi?
No, plenary, tapos magbobotohan sila.
Ayun na,
After
plenary
next week.
botohan. Ito yung in-expect ko sa plenary na botohan, which is going to, this is where it gets really interesting with that vote in the plenary, Meron tayong isang kongresista na umamin na DDS na, si Congressman Leviste. Umamin na hard DDS daw siya, matagal na.
A
At
certain
boboto daw
Hungarian
siya.
was always saying a certain thing a long time ago. I wonder.
Yeah. So, ngayon na umamin na siya, sinabi din niya na he will vote no to the impeachment. At ang rason niya ay marami daw tayong problema sa Pilipinas, ang ating oil crisis. Tapos this impeachment is wasting our time kaya he's gonna vote no. I'm like, okay, that is such a bad logic. Hindi pala matalino tong si Leviste na realize ko, I mean, unless ginagawa lang niya yan para mambudol ng mga kababayan natin o talagang naniniwala siya sa sinasabi niya. Pag naniniwala siya, that proves that he's really not that smart. Pag ginagawa lang niya para mambudol, then it shows you that he's very conniving. Yan. Gumagawa lang siya ng mga rason, mga dahilan lang dahil meron siyang sariling interest niya para protektahan ang mga Duterte dahil nakinabag siya sa mga Duterte. Sinasabi niya hindi daw siya mabibili. Kaya siya hindi mabibili kasi kumita na siya ng bilyon-bilyon dahil kay Digong Duterte. Yun eh. Kaya yan ang exciting part sa plenary eh. Yung mga makikita natin sino yung mga boboto ng no. Sina Erice, for example, na Liberal Party. Sabi niya, marami ng ebidensya eh. I mean, kahit siya hindi niya matanggi yung ebidensya na lumalabas, pero malay mo ba, he's gonna vote no dahil he has the same logic as mga DDS. Again, so there's a part of me that believes he's DDS, yun na nga, in denial eh. So, malalaman natin.
In this Wednesday, I believe ang focus will be on yung threats ni Sara kay BBM. Okay, I think ang importanteng tao na mag-a-appear dyan, and this in the news nito araw-araw, NBI Director Melvin Matibag.
Si Matibag.
We have a new magiging bagong household name ito. Former DDS, former PDP laban, tapos ngayon he is hunting them down one by one. I mean, hindi naman niya nagkakataon lang. Pero ang tawag dito, merong mukhang may pasabog na ebidensya eh. Nalalabas sa Wednesday. I'm not sure kung
So next week to. Next week na to.
next week, this Wednesday, the third, kasi iniisip natin na yung threat ni Sara sa Zoom lang, 'di ba? No joke yung gumaganon-ganon siya na pag may nangyari sa akin ganun. Pero mukhang there's more to that story than yung sinabi ni Sara na yun eh. Na merong kinontak ba sa likod, behind the scenes. So yun ang hindi ko sure kung ano, pero baka lumabas sa Wednesday at baka
Mm.
yun ang kanilang pasabog sa Wednesday. Hindi ko lang sure. Pero definitely, ang topic sa Wednesday, aside from baka yung BIR na hindi nila binuksan nun, is yung uh, part ng impeachment complaint na Sara threatening the president.
Oh, wow. So more fireworks next week, including from another ex-DDS. Ay, hindi naman. So, bagay, yeah, Madriaga is an ex-Sara DDS.
Madriaga, grabe din yan.
Yeah, so
Ex-DBS din talaga.
interesting times, interesting times. Maraming salamat, guys. Yun nga, mukhang quad ka, -1 na naman tayo. So hopefully for the next one, next week we'll have na si Jess Falsis with us para ano naman, kasi busy siya kay Topacio at saka ano pa yung isa mo, ni Bondo.
Oo nga
Busy na siya sa
pinagpalit
atin
na
eh.
tayo kay Jimmy
Oo,
Bondo,
wala na
kay
siyang time
Robin
sa atin
Padilla,
eh.
tsaka kay
Oo,
Topacio.
oo.
Yun na yung kanyang mga kasama.
Oo. Kaya sutilin na naman siya ni Ronald Llamas. I like that Llamas Falsis dynamic. It's getting interesting. Congratulations again, guys. Mark, Chris, I've been following your stuff. Fantastic stuff. I think swertang bayan ngayon na marami tayong mga magagaling na content creators katulad nyo. And I learned a lot from today. I really appreciate the discussion. At saka minsan nagtithinkang out loud tayo kasi we're building on each other's idea, no? Ang ganda eh. Many people appreciate that. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Mark. To more Bardagulan and more Bardagulan coverage next week. Magpahinga muna tayo kasi mukhang ano to is magsa-snowball ito. And to more interesting stuff. And of course, again, belated happy birthday kay Mayor Lenny. Baka naman we want to do an event in Naga kung welcome tayo dyan. Let's do a
Punta
Naga
tayo.
event. That would be nice. Naga is also.
Yeah.
Let's do
Sayang
it.
di naabot yung ano this week, next week na yun, yung hot air. May hot air balloons sila eh.
Oh, yeah,
Oo
oo nga, sayang. Mark, you
Oo.
have to have those calendars down, pinned down, yung mga special moments na pwede tayo.
Ikaw ang parating nasa labas ng bansa. Kami ni Kristan, anytime.
Grabe.
Pwede ko, Chris. Ano tayo?
O di, AI nyo ako, AI. AI na natin in the future kung kayo na naman siya. So maraming salamat, God bless, and talk to you soon.